It has been nearly 3 years since Captain Ibrahim Traore took the reins of leadership in Burkina Faso. And in that short time, the 37-year-old has emerged as one of Africa's most daring, controversial, and inspiring leaders, while the Western media speculates about the nature of his regime, questioning its democratic credentials. On the African continent, a very different conversation is unfolding, because what Traoré has unleashed isn't just governance, it's a movement. And it all came to a head in a moment that shook the halls of African power, seen, AU Summit. Silence before the storm, the room fell silent. Cameras clicked. Delegates leaned in, and then Captain Ibrahim Traore spoke. What followed wasn't diplomacy. It was defiance. A full-throated roar for Africa's dignity. In a rare and fearless address, Traoré didn't just critique the African Union. He confronted it. He exposed what many had whispered for years: decades of failure, betrayal, and foreign manipulation, rewriting African diplomacy. Traoré's AU bombshell. He walked into the AU summit not as a guest, but as a storm. While seasoned leaders recycled the same tired scripts, Traoré broke the mold. He didn't come to beg for aid. He came to demand accountability. With eyes locked on the delegates, he thundered, "How can this union speak of peace while selling silence to Western puppeteers?" The room froze. This wasn't diplomacy. This was a reckoning. He called out the dependency that had crippled the Sahel, economically, militarily, and spiritually. He named names. He exposed institutions that promised African development but delivered debt and delay. "Why do we celebrate sovereignty while leasing it to the highest bidder?" he asked. There was no applause, just tension, thick enough to cut with a knife. Traoré didn't sugarcoat anything. He didn't avoid blame. He confronted it head-on, and in doing so, he didn't just challenge the African Union, he redefined African leadership, exposing the West. The Sahel is not for sale, but he didn't stop there. In the second half of his speech, Traoré turned the spotlight outward on the West. France didn't come to help, he said. They came to extract. The Sahel's gold, uranium, and oil, he declared, had been looted under the mask of partnerships. Foreign bases? Parasites. NGOs? Intermediaries for interference. You claim to protect us. But from what? Our own independence. He listed covert arms deals, broken aid promises, and media campaigns designed to label resistance as radicalism. They call us anti-West, he said, but we are simply pro-African. That line hit like thunder. His message was clear. The Sahel is not for sale. Burkina Faso will not kneel. New alliances, African-led defense, and then came the bombshell. Traoré revealed the boldest shift yet. Burkina Faso had cut ties with France's military operations. In their place, a new African-led defense pact. Point 1 built on self-reliance. Point 1 that wouldn't outsource its safety to foreign powers with hidden agendas. Project Rebirth. He called an initiative involving local engineers, veterans, and regional militias. They're building drones, surveillance systems, and ground units by Africans for Africans. We will no longer wait for NATO's leftovers, he declared. If you won't defend yourselves, don't expect your colonizers to. Critics called it reckless. Traoré called it necessary, because for once a leader wasn't asking for protection. He was building it. Economic revolution, turning cashews into jet fuel. But this wasn't just about war. Traoré's next revolution, economics. He announced the launch of an $11.5 million cashew processing plant. At first glance, it looked like agriculture, but it was much more. Burkina Faso produces nearly 2 million tons of cashew apples every year, most of it wasted. Now, that waste is being transformed into biofuel. Yes, cashew shell liquid is being converted into fuel that can power generators and even aircraft. Locally run. Women-led. 0. NOIMF.NO strings. We're not just exporting cashews, Traoré said, we're converting waste into power. And it's only the beginning. Plans are underway to replicate this model using shea, baobab, and mango byproducts. This isn't about aid, this is about leverage. Africa has the resources. What it lacked was control, and now, that control is being reclaimed. The Burkina model, a new Africa awakens. Traoré laid out what he called the Burkina model. 3 pillars: dignity, sovereignty, inter-African interdependence. He urged African nations to trade with each other, defend each other, and most of all, believe in each other. He called for a continental manufacturing renaissance. From textiles to tech. He proposed a West African industrial corridor connecting landlocked nations with processing hubs, railways, and digital networks. When asked about potential sanctions, he simply replied, Let them sanction air. We're building industries with our own breath. That line broke the room because for the first time, Burkina Faso was no longer begging at the gates of globalization. It was building its own house with its own tools. Africa's youth, the fire that cannot be extinguished. As he closed his speech, Traoré turned to the one force no foreign power can control, Africa's youth. They call us rebels, he said, but we are only rejecting chains. He spoke of young farmers using solar irrigation in the Sahel, student coders in Ouagadougou developing security apps, grassroots journalists rewriting the African story. This, he said, was not rebellion. It was a renaissance. Africa is not poor. It's been poorly managed by systems designed in colonial cages. They may try to silence me, he said, but ideas don't bleed. They grow. And in that moment, a 36-year-old captain became more than a president. He became a signal that Africa's future would not be negotiated. It would be claimed, boldly, unapologetically, and loudly. Closing, call to action. Traoré's speech didn't just echo in the African Union chamber. It's rippling across the continent. From the streets of Ouagadougou to the power corridors in Addis Ababa, Africa is stirring. The question now is this: will the African Union rise to meet this moment, or retreat once again into silence? If Ibrahim Traoré's words were a spark, then the people must be the fire. Share this, talk about it, and above all, stay awake, because Africa is changing.